public, when it comes to migration, have two concerns. One is compassion, the other is control. And the problem with the Rwanda policy is at the moment, the public don't think it's going to do either of those things.
And it is a year since the government announced their policy to send migrants to Rwanda. So far, no flights have taken off. And do the general public actually support the policy? Have they ever? Well, Luke Tryl is the UK director of More in Common, a public consultancy group, and he's in the studio with me now. Hello, Luke.
Hi.
The stats here are rather intriguing, actually, when you dig a little deeper into them. They seem to show that people do support the Rwanda policy, because we always knew it was the case that public support behind people crossing the channel, it was very strong that people wanted to see boats stopped. But the Rwanda policy itself, far more controversial in the numbers.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that small boats are a big issue for the public. Whenever we poll, it's consistently in the sort of top 3 or 4 issues of public concern, and particularly so for those swing voters in what's become known as the Red Wall, those voters who delivered Boris his big majority. So it's an issue of concern that they want politicians to get a grip on. When it comes to how you get that grip, that's where some of the tension emerges. So ask people, do you support the Rwanda policy, as we did this week? And you get, you get a clear, not majority, but clear plurality in favour. So 46% back it, 27% don't. But then when you ask them, will the policy work? Will it actually stop these crossings? It flips. 51% say they don't think it will make a difference. And actually some think it will increase crossings, and only around 34% say they think it will actually work. And so, there's a real difficulty for the government there, because they've raised the salience of channel crossings through this flagship policy, but the public don't think that they've got the ability to fix it. And even more worrying for the government, when we, in our polling, explained what the policy entailed, so no one who crosses the channel being able to claim asylum, the public then suddenly go, but genuine refugees should be able to claim asylum here, shouldn't they? So we found that 51% of people think that genuine refugees should be able to claim asylum even if they cross the channel, because, we are a welcoming country.
Okay, and that bit there breaks with policy, because government policy would suggest now, if this law is passed and comes into action, that if anybody crosses the channel, they will not be allowed to, at any point in the future, claim asylum in the UK. So what does this mean for the government then? Will they care if people don't support it?
Well, this policy is being driven by what they see as an electoral imperative. Yeah. It's supposed to be a vote winner. But I think we're very quickly going to reach the stage where people see victims of modern slavery, women fleeing persecution. We're another group that the public are very clear should be able to claim asylum, people who've helped in Afghanistan. If we start deporting those groups, you're going to get some really high-profile cases where the public are going, hang on a minute, this isn't what we meant. What we wanted to stop was people coming here who weren't genuine refugees, and instead, we're sending back people who actually deserve sanctuary here. And what we always say is, the public, when it comes to migration, have two concerns. One is compassion, the other is control. And the problem with the Rwanda policy is at the moment, the public don't think it's going to do either of those things.
And there's a lot more detail in your article on the website, which is very much worth a read. Before we let you go, let's just touch, if we can. We are, 4 weeks away from the coronation? 3.5 weeks away? Looking at the public, how people feel about this, the research that you guys have done, are people excited, or are they a bit nonplussed?
In a word, no.
Right.
We've asked a number of times if people are excited about the coronation, and it's only about a third of people who are saying that they're excited about it. Even the prospect of that extra bank holiday isn't enthusing people at the moment. And I think it's a combination of, we've got this cost of living crisis at the moment, which is on everyone's minds. We've got this feeling that Britain just doesn't really work anymore. And you've got all the Meghan and Harry drama on top of that. And so there's just a big chunk of the public who are just kind of shrugging their shoulders and say, don't we have better things to be spending money on?
Was that the same, though, with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee last year? Were people a bit nonplussed if you look at the 3 weeks before that?
not to the same
Right.
degree, And the Queen was a much more popular figure than Charles. Charles is not unpopular, but he just doesn't inspire that same sense of devotion or even excitement that events around the Queen did.